Hey y'all, welcome to part 3 of my PCT Q&A. I put out an all call on Instagram asking for your burning questions about hiking with PCT, and I got some good ones, so let's dive in. Okay, welcome to part 3 of my PCT Q&A series. Let's dive straight into these questions. The first one is, did you immediately start planning the next trail? And how long is your Thru-Hike bucket list now? So did I immediately start planning the next trail? No, I didn't. No, I have never been more burnt out on something in my life than I was on hiking at the end of the PCT. I know that this will change, but I currently have no interest in Thru-Hiking. No interest. I did it. I'm glad I did it. It was incredible. I'll probably want to do it again, but currently, I'm good. It was really hard. Yeah, it was hard physically, of course, like as you would expect, but it was really hard mentally. It was really, really hard mentally in a lot of ways, a lot of complicated ways. I'll get into it in other venues. But the short answer is I did not immediately start planning my next trail. And how long is your Thru-Hike bucket list now? It's at 0. It's at 0. I'm being dramatic. You know what? The Colorado Trail. I just moved to Denver, so I think the Colorado Trail could be fun. I'd love to do the Uinta Highline Trail in Utah. I don't know if that really counts as a through hike. It's kind of like a 7 to 10 day hike, but it's one of the bigger week-long hikes. I have no desire to do the AT. I know that it's beautiful and amazing and incredible, but I don't think after doing the PCT, I don't. I know the East Coast is beautiful. I'm about to create some enemies. I know the East Coast is beautiful. But I know the East Coast. I've lived on the East Coast. And again, it's beautiful. I can't emphasize this enough. The East Coast is beautiful. But in my opinion, I'm like throwing all the caveats out there, trying so hard not to piss everybody off. In my opinion, it does not compare to the beauty of the West Coast. So I think first and foremost, I would be disappointed by the green tunnel. You're just walking through trees a lot of the time. There, of course, are vistas. Again, it's beautiful. I understand it is beautiful in its own right. But I think visually in that regard, I think I will be disappointed. And humidity. I don't, not only am I, well, let's be clear, this is two things. Number one, I'm just uncomfortable and I don't enjoy it. So there's that. On the other end of the spectrum, I sweat incessantly. We'll be in a humid environment and the next person will be totally dry and I will just be literally drenched in sweat. I grew up in Missouri. I've lived in New York on the East Coast, and I'm very experienced being physical in humidity, and my body doesn't like it. It doesn't do well. I overheat. I dealt with heat exhaustion on the PCT. I cannot imagine the ways in which I would have to deal with it on the AT. So for all those reasons, also, I think the AT is more of a party trail, which is fine, but I don't know that that's the vibe that I would be looking for. The one thing I do think would be awesome about the AT, I love town stops. It was part of the fun for me. I love seeing these cute towns. I love meeting the people. I love the town stops. And one of the good things about the AT is that there's a lot more town stops. You're encountering opportunities to go to town a lot more often. So I would enjoy that. But maybe the CDT, the Continental Divide Trail, that might be on the list. Maybe the Hayduke, maybe some other trails like that. We'll see. But I gave you a long answer, but In short, I am not desperate for my next thru hike. Next, what would you say to someone concerned about hiking and camping alone? Well, so I think there's two things. I think there's like the actual risk and there's perceived risks. So I think the perceived risks of like camping alone at night, hiking alone, just generally being alone, those are super legitimate, but impossible to avoid. You are, without question, there's no scenario where you're not going to have to be independent and doing things alone at some point. Even if you plan to hike the trail with like your best friend or your partner, you can't take other people's zeros is what they say. And what that means is that even if you're hiking with a best friend or a partner, you really have to start the trail with an understanding that everyone's going to need zeros. Everyone's going to need a zero is a day that you don't hike, whether it be in a town. It's usually in a town. It would be rare to take a zero on trail. But if you're sick or you're just someplace pretty, you might want to do that. But usually zeros are in town. But if someone like is injured and needs to take a couple extra days, or someone needs some mental health extra couple days, super normal. Literally everyone encounters that. But the thing is, if you are taking your own zeros, the time you need your own time, if you're also taking that time that other people need, that your best friend needs a couple mental health days, or they hurt their ankle, or they need 2 weeks because they messed up their back, you can't do that. You're not going to finish. You're not going to finish. You have to be independent. So in terms of like hiking and camping alone, you should absolutely be prepared for that. Even if you think you're in a scenario where it's not going to happen, it's probably going to happen. It's probably going to happen. So be prepared for it. You are going to have to be comfortable being alone. That being said, there's really good reasons to not be comfortable being alone. First and foremost, especially for women, is safety, and that's a super legitimate concern. I know that a lot of my women hiking friends didn't like to hike close to a trailhead, because close to a trailhead, there's more likely to be non-thru-hikers, civilians, day hikers, weekend hikers, and thru-hikers usually aren't the concern. Like, thru-hikers are all on the same page, we're all doing the same thing, we're all on the same team, but anywhere where you encounter more of the public, there's more a risk, or at least a perceived risk. So I think avoiding campsites near trailheads is one way to avoid encountering random people. In terms of critters, critters are a fact of the trail. You're gonna be around critters. They're gonna come around while you're sleeping. They're fine. They're fine. I know it's creepy. I know it's, I know, but it's fine. It's really fine. I cowboy camped 93% of the time. That means I camped without a tent. I just had a setup on the ground and slept there. And I never literally not a single time did I wake up to an animal around me, or a critter on me, or a bug on me. Did they? Of course. There's a 0% chance that a spider didn't crawl across me at some point. There's a 0% chance that a raccoon or something didn't come up by me. I should say rodents, lots of mice scurrying about. That's something we'll talk about. Like, yeah, I mean, you're camping alone. If that is terrifying to you in a way in which you think you can't overcome it from exposure, then this might not be for you. Like, if the idea of a mouse running up to your backpack that's sitting a few feet from you, like to try to get to the granola bar you left in a pocket, if that like just creeps you out beyond all compare, then this might not be for you. Yeah, those were the only times cowboy camping that I encountered critters. They were rodents. I think mice are adorable. I don't want to like hang out with them or cuddle with them, but they don't like freak me out. But there were a few nights that they were all around me scurrying. I could hear them. And it's because I left food in my backpack right next to me. So as soon as that was removed, they have no interest in me. They only want food. So if you don't have food nearby you, they don't care. So anyway, concerned about hiking or camping alone. It's a legitimate fear. It's creepy. Even, I say everything I just said, but even like in month 5 of this Thru-Hike, I had gotten used to camping with other people and then had to camp alone a couple nights because I just got separated. I was too slow or whatever, for whatever reason. And I didn't sleep well. Was I like terrified? No, but I just had gotten used to camping with other people and I just didn't sleep as well. I just was more on guard. I wasn't as at ease. So just know that like, I don't know. Like it's everybody. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's just, you got to be tough, but nobody's like crazy tough. Even like I could totally portray myself as this like badass who cowboy camps and like, I don't give a frick about no critters. But, and I sort of am to one extent, but at the same time, like, take all my friends away and make me camp alone and I don't sleep well because I'm, dealing with a low level of all those anxieties that everyone feels when you're camping alone. So the question was, what would you say to someone? God, this has been a long answer. What would you say to someone concerned about hiking and camping alone? It's not nearly as scary as your brain thinks it is. That being said, it is what it is, and it's up to you. It's not for everyone, but you are going to encounter critters. Hello. Hey, if you are sitting there thinking, oh, I want to travel more, I want to go on more adventures, come with me. I host trips around the world. We've been hiking in Patagonia. We went looking for the Northern Lights in Iceland, trekking in Nepal, camping in Banff, Canada, in the Canadian Rockies. We do it all, and we have a real good time. Everyone's welcome, and all the details for any current trips, just click that little bubble up in the top corner, or go to my website, jjb.life/travel. And we almost always make at least one group cringy TikTok. So come hang out with us. We're a real good time. Okay, next question. How do you come up with a budget? I wouldn't know because I didn't. I already owned a lot of the gear that I was using. Because of this job, I was very privileged to have some gear donated. And I had set aside a decent chunk of change because I knew that I was going to take more zeros than the average bear. I knew that all the cute mountain towns we were passing through was a huge reason that I was doing this. I knew that I wanted to spend time there. So I allocated more money than the average person probably would. The numbers vary wildly. I would say a good middle point, I would plan, if assuming you don't have most of the gear that you need, I would say at least probably like $10,000 to $12,000, $13,000 is my estimate. I spent way more than that. Maybe not. I saved money because of the things I just mentioned. I already owned a lot of my gear. Some of my gear was gifted to me because I have relationships with the brands that I was using. On the other end of the spectrum, I wasn't frugal. I was more than happy to take zeros, get an Airbnb, get a hotel, have a nice meal. So I would say I probably ended up somewhere slightly north of average, but I have no idea what that amount is. If I had to guess, I would say probably about 15,000 is what I would guess. You can do it way cheaper. I definitely did it like 42-year-old style, where I wasn't supplying my food out of hiker boxes. I was buying exactly what I wanted. I was having what I wanted shipped to me. I was staying in hotels and Airbnbs whenever I wanted to be comfortable. I didn't skimp. And you absolutely can. Even still, I can't imagine, even if you have none of the gear that you need, I would say the very least you could probably do is like 7,000 to 8,000. If you already own a lot of your gear, you might be able to figure out how to do it a little less. I think 12 to 15,000 is a really comfortable range. So that's what I would suggest. More if you have it. Regardless, the thing is, it's hard to estimate because there are so many different ways to do this. There's the way I did it, but there's also the like super dirtbag, like 18-year-old version where you're eating out of hiker boxes. You're just figuring it out. You're wearing shoes that have hundreds of miles past their prime. You can absolutely do it much more cheaply, but this is the way I did it. Okay, next question. Were there animal encounters? Yes, of course. I did not see a bear. I did not personally see a mountain lion. Other people near me saw one. I didn't see it, but it was near me. So those are usually people's first questions, but I did see a lot of other cool things. Most notable, I saw tons of marmots and squirrels and mice, and the kangaroo mice in the desert are freaking cute. They're mice, but they're little, and they've got these little kangaroo back legs. Oh, they're really cute. But I also saw a desert tortoise. I was hiking through the desert in the middle of nowhere, and off in the distance, I could see a few people in like high-vis vest. And I was like, I wonder what they're doing. And I got up near them, and they were leaving, and they're like, oh, hey, have you ever seen a desert tortoise? And I was like, I don't think so. Definitely not in the wild. And they're like, oh, well, we're here checking on a desert tortoise that's tracked. He's got a tracker on him, and we were just coming out to see how he's doing. And he's doing really well. So if you want to see him, he'll be, passing the trail 200 yards ahead. So I got up there, and it was so, I don't know. It was really cool. It was really cool. I would not have expected a desert tortoise to be so cool. But it was really cool. I realized I've seen lots of turtles and tortoises in captivity or in Missouri on my family's farm, but I've never seen a desert tortoise just on its own accord. So that was pretty cool. What else did I see? I also saw a tarantula, which was very cool, and it was cold, so it could barely move. So it was very not scary and safe, which they're never dangerous, but creepy. But that was very cool. And then I saw, I don't know, a gazillion other animals, but no bears. Other people saw bears. Most people saw bears. It was, I would say, probably the minority that I am in, not seeing a bear. There also were lots of bear issues. There was an area where some bears kept coming to a campsite every night and pestering the people. I think the thing I saw most were snakes, especially rattlesnakes. Like tons of rattlesnakes. There were days that I wouldn't see any rattlesnakes, and there were days that I would see like 6, 7 rattlesnakes. I saw enough of rattlesnakes that I got super desensitized to it. In the beginning, I would see one and I'd be like, and freak out and like move and just be hyper alert and triggered. And after a couple months, I'd be like, oh, yeah, there's another rattlesnake, whatever. Which was cool because I would rank snakes in general among the top animals that I would like to have nothing to do with. So it was a really cool experience to get to the point where I was kind of desensitized by them and kind of like, oh yeah, there's a rattlesnake. Hey buddy, we're good. So yeah, lots of animal encounters. The other thing with bears, so just to be clear, there's a huge delineation in my experience to be made between grizzly bears and literally any other bear, especially the brown black bears. The bear encounters were really chill. I'm not saying you should be cavalier in bear safety, that you should put yourself in their path, I'm not suggesting any of that. But encountering a brown or black bear is very different than encountering a grizzly bear. And so, yes, lots of people had lots of encounters with bears. And you should always be super diligently safe in all the ways. That being said, they were all mostly non-events. Not mostly, they were all non-events. Of course, nerve-wracking, but there's just a really big difference between polar bears and grizzly bears and other types of bears. Their scare factor is not created equally. Again, I cannot emphasize enough, I am not in any way, shape, or form suggesting that you should be casual or cavalier about any bear safety or anywhere that you're going to experience bears. That being said, is a really big difference in the encounters between the two of them. So yes, lots of people experience brown black bears, but they were all fine in the end. There was a fine experience. They are skittish. They don't typically want to mess with humans. They're typically scared of humans. You can scare them off. So I don't know. We're not here to talk about bear safety, but yes, most people saw bears and it was totally fine. That's the takeaway. Be safe, be diligent, but you will probably experience bears and it will almost definitely be fine. Just be prepared, be smart, and handle it the right way. Okay, last question. Did you get lonely? Yes. Yeah. And no. Yeah. My PCT was split up into kind of 3 almost equal social sections. That's what I'll call it. The first third of the trail, I was mostly alone because I wanted to be. I was starting the trail. I just hadn't organically met anyone yet. And honestly, I was really excited to have some alone time. My life tends to be busy and social, and I was really excited to be alone in the desert. But after about 6 weeks, I wasn't feeling like I needed social time, but I met my family. I ended up at this trail angel, Kristen's house near the I-10. She hosts, she's a trail angel who hosts Thru-Hikers. And I was only going to be there one night, and I left and then found out I got a work email and I had a bunch of stuff that I wasn't supposed to be done that needed to be done immediately. So I had to go back to her house and spend a day there working, getting this work done. And I'm so glad that I did, because the second night that I was at her house, I met what turned out to be my family. I met this group of people. There were neurovirus concerns in the next stretch with the water. There also was a section of the trail that was washed out. Some people were skipping the section because the safety conditions were not ideal, but this group was determined to do it safely. And they're like, let's all do it together. And that's when our tramily formed. We did that section together, and then some variation of us, people fell off throughout the trail, but there were 4 of us who made it to the very end together. So that's when I met my tramily. And I would say for the next 2-ish months, I was with them 24/7 and was hyper social. And then my back injury happened, and people were getting off. A lot of people, half of our tramily quit around the Tahoe, Northern California point. That's also when I had my back issues. So then that kind of led to the last third of the trail, which was kind of like a second, much smaller tramily. And I found myself at the end wanting alone time. It's really, really nice when you're doing something like this to have other people around. But I was at the point where I periodically wanted to just camp alone for the night, or just be on my own, do my own thing. So yes, I got lonely, but I would say my social progression was, in the beginning, I just wanted to be alone, in silence, in solitude. And once I had had enough of that, I desperately wanted to be around people for the middle section of the trail. And then by the last third of the trail, it was a mix. I wanted to be around a much smaller group of people while still maintaining some alone time. So a little of both. I really went back and forth. So that's enough for this video. We'll save the rest of the questions for the next one. And subscribe, do all those things, and we'll see you in the next Q&A video. Bye, y'all.
Want to watch another video? Click here. Want to learn more about my upcoming trips? Click here. Want to subscribe and like all my videos and turn those bell notifications on?